Greetings, fellow dungeon delvers, and welcome to Doran's Dragons. My name is Justin, and I'm going to be doing something a little different today. I'm going to be breaking down the Unearthed Arcana giant options. So we're going to get 3 new subclasses here and a bunch of new cool feats based on the giants and their various types. These are all pretty exciting. I've looked through these already, and I've seen a couple cool things, a couple cool champions I think might benefit from this. So let's get started. Starting things off with the Barbarian Path of the Giant. I think this is going to be something we may do with Gnar, but it's going to be either this or Rune Knight. I see, obviously, they're very easy comparisons that I'm sure as I read these features you guys will pick up on. But let's go ahead and break it down. So starting off at level 3, just by choosing this path, you get to learn Giant, or another language if you already know Giant, and you get the Druidcraft or Thaumaturgy cantrip. Wisdom's going to be your spellcasting ability, which doesn't really matter much, honestly. So Giant's Havoc, though. This is the one that I think fans of the Rune Knight are going to obviously see the parallel immediately. So when you enter a rage, you get the ability to add your rage damage to your thrown weapon attacks. Something I think Draven might appreciate if we went Barbarian on him. Or if you wanted to pick up a use your boomerang, you can add your rage damage there and gets a little bit extra damage on it. We also get our giant stature, which is going to turn us into Mega Gnar. So your reach increases by 5 feet and you become large. This will get even bigger as we get a little further into the build, or into the subclass features here. So pay attention to that. Then we get Elemental Cleaver. So when you enter your rage, you can infuse one of your weapons with elemental damage type: acid, cold, fire, thunder, or lightning. Now, while you use this weapon, that weapon's damage type changes to that. So, let's take a Great Axe, for example. You were doing 1d12 slashing damage. Now you're doing 1d12 acid or cold or fire, thunder, lightning, etc. Right? Not only that, it deals an extra 1d6 damage of that chosen type. It also gains the thrown property, meaning when you throw it, you get to use your rage damage, thanks to this. And it reappears in your hand the instant after it hits or misses a target. So you get that returning weapon artificer infusion for free. Not only that, this is a great probing tool, right? So let's say you're facing some sort of creature and you're not sure what kind of damage it's resistant or vulnerable to or even immune to. You can choose, you can cycle through, right? Let's say you start with cold damage, right? You throw the axe, it hits, deals no damage. On your next turn, as a bonus action, you can change the infused weapon's damage type to a different one and test again. Oh, well, cold's not working? All right, well, let's try switching to fire. Then your fire hits it, crushes it, and that's a signal to you and the rest of your party that, hey, this thing is weak to fire damage. Now, Mighty Impel is going to be kind of like Gnar's ult. So your connection to your giant strength now allows you to hurl both allies and enemies on the battlefield. For Gnar, we will skip the allies part of this and focus on the enemies portion. But as a bonus action while you're raging, you can choose a creature of medium or smaller within your reach and move it to an unoccupied space you can see within 30 feet of yourself. And it forces a strength save on them if they want to, not be thrown. And they also had this clause here just to explain that if you do manage to throw them over the air or in the water, they will in fact take the damage and land prone. I feel like that's pretty obvious, but I guess if they need to say it, that means they had to explain it to somebody in the past. So there's that. I would like if they added something here about terrain connecting. Or terrain impacting, knocking you prone. I feel like that'd be a really cool little add here. Not even just because of, obviously, Mega Gnar, but I just think, in general, I think, if a giant's going to fling you up against a wall, you're going to be jostled. I think at least knocking them prone is perfectly fair. But yeah, so then we have the Demiurgic Colossus feature. which is just basically going to increase the potency of the previous 2 features, right? So when you change into your, what's it called? When you change into your giant stature, that now becomes large. And your Mighty Impel, which is the Gnar alt, can now move large creatures. And then also the Elemental Cleaver increases to 2d6 extra damage. So basically we're just buffing up the other other features with this one. Overall, I think this is a pretty cool subclass. It has a lot of flavor and everything kind of works into each other to make it better. I love the idea of being able to take a great axe and just chuck it across the battlefield and pull it back. I think anyone who is a fan of the new God of War with the Leviathan axe, this definitely feels like it hits home perfectly there with some throwing it with some cold damage and then pulling it straight back. I love it. Big fan of this, and I hope this makes it through. I don't know if they really need to change much. It doesn't seem too overpowered. Barbarians only get 1 extra attack, so this isn't actually too crazy. And the thrown range is only 20 feet. Even if you do the long range, it does advantage at 60. That's still not crazy. I mean, geez, a barbarian could probably run can run most of that time, get that range. So not that crazy. Anywho, moving on to the Druid Circle of the Primeval, or as I'm going to call them, Circle of the Dinosaurs. Or Jurassic Druids. I think actually I like that. Jurassic Druids. So the Jurassic Druid, their kind of concept is that they are pulling on the ancient world into the time before, humans dominated and the area. And they actually get some cool things here. So the first thing they get is the ability to pull upon that connection to the ancient world. So they get proficiency on history. And they also get a D4 add to their intelligence, add to their history checks here. So that's nice. Nice little flavorful, but not really too breaking feature there for choosing this at the second level. But the other thing we get at the second level is something I think that is really cool, which is something they borrowed from Circle of the Wildfire Druid, which is using your wild shape charges to summon a companion, rather than using your beast form. So the Primeval Companion is an amalgam of a lot of different things that they're doing that I really enjoy and I wanted to talk about. I love how so many of their stats use proficiency bonus. I think that's proficiency bonus is a great curving upward power scale that it prevents people from being broken early by dice rolls or weak early by dice rolls. I think it's a nice little smooth gameplay curve using proficiency bonus. Now they give you, and not only that, but they also give you freedom to choose the cosmetic appearance, right? So scrolling up real quick, just a reminder, this starts off as a medium creature, right? So the first 2 examples they give are a raptor or a saber-toothed tiger. I think those fit perfectly, right? Those are both medium-sized creatures. I think saber-toothed tigers could be large, but medium can definitely fit these guys really well. But when they get, but then their next examples, they're talking about defensive creatures, an ankylosaurus or a woolly rhino. Now, when I think of both of those creatures, I think of massive, like large or even maybe giant, or giant, large or huge. That's what I think of when I think of these kind of creatures. So keep that in mind. You will get up to the large size, so maybe that you start off with a raptor and it grows into an ankylosaurus or something like that. But either way, I love that Wizards is giving you the ability to choose the cosmetic appearance. I think that's something that really allows flavor and your character to shine through. But let's talk about what the companion can actually do, right? So on its turn, it takes the dodge reaction unless you tell it to do something else. Using one of your bonus actions, which I think is another good idea as well. I think it's perfectly fair to make you spend your bonus action as a character to make your companion do something, so it doesn't feel like you're just playing 2 characters essentially. Also, I mean, they can do the things they can do is pretty impactful. So using your bonus action is not an unfair ask. So I like that. But anyway, they exist. They remain indefinitely until they're reduced to 0 hit points or until you die, at which point they go away. And if you don't want, let's say you have a raptor and you want a saber-toothed tiger, you can just use the feature again and spend a wild charge. It'll vanish and you'll summon a new one. Looking over the stat block real quick, I mentioned earlier, a lot of their stats are scaling based on proficiency bonus. So anytime you see plus PB, this is what I'm talking about. Their hit points are actually going to be, I think, pretty decent with 5 times your Druid level plus 10. I mean, even just at this level, right? You're starting off with 5 times your Druid level. So you're starting off with 20 hit points, which is going to be more than you have at this point, which is pretty nice. Again, more scaling on your proficiency bonus. Their strike also does scales with their your proficiency bonus, not only with your plus to hit, but also the damage it does. And also you get to choose what damage type, which I think is a nice little choice. Anytime they give you choice, I'm usually on board with. Now for reactions, we didn't mention this. You can do intercept attack. Now I think this is something that the Steel Defender has from the Battlesmith Artificer. But it can spend its reaction whenever it's a creature's hit within 5 feet of it by a creature within 5 feet of it. So and they can split half the damage. So let's say you want to help your frontliner out in mitigating some of the damage they're taking. You can send your companion up to them, and that, let's say the enemy goes in for a sword strike. The companion can spend its reaction to take half of that damage instead, and the frontliner only take half as well. Now you don't really have to do that with frontliners. You can keep them back for yourself, or you can go put them on someone squishier like your wizard in the back. Protect them from any arrow strikes or someone who manages to squeeze by the frontliner. So Prehistoric Conduit's going to be our next feature. This one's pretty cool. This is going to let you cast spells through your companion. So for example, you have Find Familiar, which has a very similar feature or similar function, I would say. Except their restriction is spells with a range of touch. This is when you cast a spell with a range other than self, meaning you can cast pretty much anything through your companion. So my immediate thought jumps to Lulu, right? So we could create Pix and fire Guiding Bolt like we did with Pix through Guiding Bolt through Pix and from Lulu if we twin it, meaning we could actually get the crossfire that we were trying to get with that champion. I just think there's a lot of cool interactions there. Even like Find Familiar, right? So you can use your companion to get into places you don't want to go to, or as a scout, and then cast spells through them to help impact the area. Not only that, though, they kind of give them like a micro evasion or a careful spell meta magic from your spells. So anytime, let's say you try to fireball the area, your companion, when they make that dex save, they have advantage on the save. And if they normally take half damage on a successful save, they don't take damage at all. And they only take half damage if they fail the save. So they get a nice little evasion in there. A little careful spell. That's nice. Now, Titanic Bond is going to buff up your companion and let it grow to a large size. It also will grant it a climbing or a swimming speed equal to its walking speed. So you can turn that into a scout to help you go traverse difficult areas for you to reach and, give you some information. Now, they also give you this feature where once per turn, when you hit a creature while your companion's out, you can force that creature to make a wisdom save against your spell save DC and make them frightened if they fail. I'm underwhelmed by that personally. I don't think it really matters. I don't know. I'm just not impressed by it. I don't think it'll really matter much I kind of get what they're going for. The Primeval Roar, the trigger, the Fear Center. I get it, but I don't know. I don't think this really matters much unless you're combining it with something else, and even then, I don't know what you're really gonna do. And then finally, we have Scourge of the Ancients, which is gonna really power up your companion. So as part of the bonus action you use to command your companion, you expend a spell slot of any level to heighten your might, granting it the following benefits. Meaning it gets all 3 of these, turning it into a huge thing to deal with on the battlefield. So first you get Hulking Behemoth. The companion becomes huge and gains temporary hit points equal to 10 times the level of the spell slot expended. And then there's the size restriction here. Obviously if it's in a room that's too small, it can't actually get huge, so it grows as big as it can. So at this point, you're 14th level, so you'll be able to cast 7th level spells. So that's a 70-point shield, hypothetically, temporary hit point shield. So if your creature is like the frontliner for your group, man, this shield is really gonna come through in the clutch. Not only that, but you get Mauler, meaning that all of your strikes deal an additional 1d8 plus the level of the spell slot. So you're looking at a 1 to 15 damage increase there. Oh, sorry, an additional 8 to 15 because you start at 1 and you always have the 7 unended. So it's an 8 to 15 damage there. And then on top of that, your companion gets a walking speed increase by a number of feet equal to 5 times the level of the spell slot expended. Meaning that's a extra 35 feet of movement speed on that turn. So you have this huge creature with 35 extra feet of movement on the turn. It's going to be crazy. I'll be surprised. I would be surprised if this makes it through in its current iteration. Because I'm not going to lie, the first time I read it, I assumed that you would get to choose one of these 3 things, right? Like you can choose to make it a Hulking Behemoth, you can choose to make it a Mauler, or you can choose for it to have a Titanic Stride. But no, it says granting it the following benefits, not choose one of the following benefits. So that's pretty nuts. But I really like this. I really like this subclass. I think I wouldn't be surprised if some small aspects of it get nerfed or pulled in a little bit. But yeah, I really like it. I think this is there's a lot of potential here for fun, a lot of potential for flavor. I don't know, maybe even we this could be, get Kled through this. I don't know if we need him to be large. Obviously, probably be better if we could just keep a medium, but there's a lot of cool options here. Moving on, Wizard Runecrafter. This is a subclass that I'm very excited about personally, because I just think runes are one of the coolest ways to get magic in your world or in a game. I think there's just so much flavor and cool ideas packed into runic magic, and I love that they're focusing on it again. I like the Runic Knight, and I go out of my way to for any rune knight at my table to give them extra reasons or ways to use their runes. So I'm just very excited about this. So kicking us off, we have the Runes of Understanding, which gives you that Comprehend Languages spell without, expending a spell slot, and it doesn't count against the number of spells you have prepared. It's kind of a kick in the teeth to the Eldritch Invocation. So keep that in mind. That's pretty funny. But it does actually come in handy. It doesn't say, it's not restrictive at all, so you can just use the spell at will. But that's kind of just a fun flavor. The Runic Empowerment is going to be the charge system that actually, kind of powers this subclass. So you get to imbue runes on your spellbook, and anytime you cast a spell, not a wizard spell, but just a spell, you can invoke one of the following runes. Life Rune. When you invoke this rune, choose one creature you can see within 30 feet, or yourself. That creature gains temporary hit points equal to 5 times the level of the spell slot expended. Meaning, let's say you cast haste on some creature, right? You can give that same creature, not only that you're hasting them to send them into fight, you can also give them That's a third level spell. That's a 15-point temporary hit point shield to send in with them. Not only that, you could, I mean, haste is like a great example of this, right? Because you also get War Rune, right? Or you could give them the War Rune rather, meaning that until the end of your next turn, their attack rolls for the chosen creature gain a bonus equal to half the level of the spell slot expended, rounded up. So for a third level spell, they'd get an extra +2 to their attack rolls. Wind Rune. This one is going to even let you move in to get yourself into position faster, right? So your speed increases by a number of feet equal to 5 times the level of the spell slot expended. More importantly, it also prevents opportunity attacks. So this would be a 15-foot level speed increase until the start of your next turn. So, and these charges are all based on your proficiency bonus, and you gain it back on a long rest. Now, the favorite example of this is of all of these would probably be someone like sneaking in to ambush somebody with the War Rune or the Wind Rune, getting them into position and sneaking them up using haste. But there's all kinds of examples you could think of to do that. Let me know what you guys think, which examples you thought of immediately coming through this in the comments down below. Now, Sigils of Warding is going to let you spend one of your charges of Runic Empowerment, which again are based on your proficiency bonus, to make you auto-succeed on a failed Strength, Dex, or Con save. I think that's pretty strong, really strong defensive feature, but a pretty heavy cost, right? Because your proficiency bonus is going to be pretty low early. So if you're using it to save yourself here, you're not using it for your cool runic abilities up here. So though it's pretty powerful, it does come at pretty heavy a cost. So I think it's pretty fair. And then we have Rune Maven, which is something I enjoy Wizards when they do this, because what they're doing is taking your Arcane Recovery feature and giving it the ability to also restore charges of your Runic Empowerment. Think of like Font of Inspiration, recharging your Bardic Inspiration die on a short rest, kind of similar. So when you use your Arcane Recovery feature, you also regain half of your intelligence mod in Runic Empowerment charges. For example, even at max intelligence, you're only ever going to get 3 of them back, which is still a lot. And especially it's if you're not familiar with Arcane Recovery, it's something you do at the end of during a short rest. So it just gives you the chance to get some of your charges back throughout the day. And for the final feature, we have Engraved Enmity. Now, this is not my favorite of the features. I understand it, and I think it's kind of cool, but I just don't feel like it's that impactful. It can be. It all depends. It depends too much on other things going right, I think, for it to be enjoyable as a feature. So that's just my thoughts. I'll explain it to you, though. As a bonus action, you can choose a creature within 60 feet of yourself. You force a wisdom save on that creature, and if they fail, they're marked by a rune. That rune hovers above their head, and they have to suffer the following effects. So Runecraft's Bane, this one's probably the best. That's going to give that it forces disadvantage on saving throws against spells you cast. You have Unveiled Enemy, meaning that they're visible if they were invisible, and they cannot become invisible while the rune's there. And finally, you have Willful Curse, which marks the creature, and the next time one of your allies hits the cursed creature, they take 1d8 force damage, and the curse ends. Now, this one, Willful Curse, kind of feels like the worst of this, because it seems like you just get an extra 1d8 force damage out of it, and that's it. It doesn't... It doesn't seem worth it to apply the bonus action every time to deal the 1d8 force damage. You can, but it just doesn't feel like it's worth using that bonus action to deal the 1d8 force damage. I guess it depends on whether you have anything else to do with your bonus action. At least it gives you an option, I guess. But that's probably the most underwhelming part of it. The rune lasts for 1 minute, as long as you maintain your concentration. And this is a new thing that they're starting to do that I really appreciate, though. So once you mark the creature, you can't do so until you finish a long rest, right? Usually that's it. That's it. That's the way it is. You get one per long rest, and that's it. But now they're doing they're starting to do this where they give you the option to, well, if you're willing to expend a 3rd level spell slot, yeah, we'll let you do it again. Which I really like, because I feel like there are a lot of subclasses that have defining flavor through their higher level features, and you only ever get to use them once per long rest. And oftentimes that's enough, because there are plenty of times where you only have one encounter, so using that legendary subclass feature once isn't that big of a deal. But sometimes it's not, and it's nice to be able to have this option to keep your subclass flavor alive and meaningful throughout the battle. But yeah, I mean, those are my thoughts. I really, 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 really like these options. I know for some of them I sounded a little negative, but overall I'm very excited, and yeah, I can't wait till this comes out in a book. Let me know what you guys think down below. If you like this kind of content and want me to do some more, more general D&D information, please let me know in the comments down below. Otherwise, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day, and I will catch you later. Oh yeah, don't forget to like and subscribe and click the notification bell. Am I doing this YouTube thing right?